Today is February 15th. This is our 6 p.m. call. We're finally getting underway at 6:21 p.m. Let me just start by apologizing for the technical difficulties. Um, WebEx is just not letting us have our way tonight, but we do have a majority of almost all of the members of the LCAB are here and represented. So, Ashia, I'm going to go ahead and start the roll call. Okay. Ashia, here. um, do we have anyone, Chezia Cager or anyone from the mayor's office? Anyone from Senator Cory McCray's office?
That would be Tamika if she's not able to unmute herself. Tamika Winkler.
Okay. Great. Anyone from Delegate Stephanie Smith's office? Representative for City Council President Nick Mosby?
I'm on.
Oh, great. Great. Good evening. I don't think Aaron is on, but Nikki Thompson is here, right? Got
Yes,
Andy's
Nikki's on as well.
super. Thank you for being here, Nikki. I've got Andy Smullian, Commissioner Harrison's designee. For John Hoffman here for Director Shante Jackson, Monsi. Do we have anyone representing the city solicitor, or is she on herself? Okay. From the Civilian Review Board, who do we have representing the CRB?
Me, Natalie Novak.
Welcome, Natalie. For Robert Cherry, I believe Elliot Cohen is here. Anyone on for Vanguard Justice Society? I'm going to come back to them in a second. Mark Washington is here. Ray Kelly?
I'm here.
Right. Any delegate? I'm sorry, not delegate. Kaylin Young. Oops. Trey Murphy, NAACP. Lydia Walter Rodriguez.
I'm here.
Tyler Adamson, our ex officio member, is here. Before I move over to sort of some welcome comments, I'm going to start with co-chair Ashia Parker. But first, I wanted to let you all know that I did make, well, let me go run over to Ashia to make some welcome comments.
Good evening. I will definitely won't hold us up since we're a little behind, but good evening and thank you for joining. And I'm looking forward to moving forward in this process.
Yeah, so welcome everyone, that all of the board members and whomever else is listening in. Just happy that we're all here, we're gathered. We're very much entering a new phase in our work. To wit, I was able to make connection with a representative of the Vanguard Justice Society. They will be joining our future meetings. Their designee is Natalie Preston, and I spoke with her earlier today. So they'll be with us going forward. We have a pretty robust calendar for the month of March that we'll be sharing with you. There's some robust action happening in the Maryland legislature. So we'll be talking about that tonight. We've also been invited to join a hearing on Tuesday, February 21st. That's called by Councilman Mark Conway. It would be great to have as many of the LCAB members join that. It'll be 5 p.m. We'll talk about that. The developing a schedule of public in-person meetings, including an in-person LCAB meeting in March, community outreach. And I know that at our last meeting, there were some who felt that they were not sure that they would be able to continue to serve, but I am so hopeful that with some reflection, everyone understands that we are in the home stretch. We're about 90 days away at most from where we need to be. And I just hope that you'll all stick with us. We need you. We want you here. And we're just too close for anyone to make a decision to walk away. So let's get going. Membership on our agenda. As I suggested, we have a new representative from the Office of the Mayor. Chesia Cager is the mayor's new chief of staff, and she's his designee for these meetings. She'll be with us going forward. Very instrumental and great to have her in partnership with us on this effort. I think most of you know that Ebony Thompson is now our acting city solicitor. She replaces Jim Shea in this city solicitor position, and we're very happy to have her. Tiara Hawks, Natalie Novak, and I think even Mel Curry might be on tonight. They are with the Civilian Review Board. Natalie is the representative tonight. Tiara Hawks will be the CRB representative going forward. And we've had a vacancy in that spot for some months, and we have filled that. So very, very happy to have the CRB and Tiara and Natalie and Mel joining us. As I suggested earlier, we had just an extraordinary time trying to find representative for the Vanguard Justice Society. We were able to make contact yesterday, and Natalie Preston will be with us going forward. Are there any other updates, any other changes in roles that needs to be shared with this group? Hearing none, just want to acknowledge Ben Guthorn, Elena DePietro, and Lauren Perez, who are really supporting our work. Lauren has been tremendous in it's not her fault that WebEx wants to go crazy tonight, but she has done a lot of the work in getting us to continue move forward. So just personal thanks and public thanks to Lauren for all the behind the scenes work that she's done. And always, Elena and Ben, thank you. Soon we'll be pivoting over to you, Ben, legislative reference, and again, Lauren with the Mayor's Office of Government Relations to help with drafting the necessary ordinance to firm up the local control process and decisions. So stick with us. We're close. Any other thoughts on the membership and the new people that have joined us? All right, so the final report, which really is not the final report that we submitted December 30, 2022, we've shared that out a couple times. It is an important document, not just because it lays out what we've been doing, but also because it shares the membership. But right now, I think some of the most important information in that document is description of the different forms of local control that we've heard about. So I just lift that up to everyone's attention and awareness. And I really strongly encourage everyone to take a look at that document and review it and get really, really familiar with it. We will be using that framework, that model, when we present what I think will be our final report, which I optimistically, ambitiously believe that we could submit in June of 2023, December 2023 at the very latest. We'll be talking more about that. Any comments on the report? Questions? legislative updates on the agenda. I mentioned the city council hearing. I just got word of that yesterday afternoon. Um, um, Councilman Mark Conway is the chair of the it's the Public Safety and Government Operations Committee. He is scheduling a hearing for February 21st at 5 p.m. That'll be in the council chamber. The purpose of that, and Lauren, you can update me or correct me on this, is just to get an update on where we are with the work of the Local Control Advisory Board. The invitation was extended specifically to the Baltimore Police Department, the Office of Equity and Civil Rights, and Local Control Advisory Board representatives, and any other agency or entity that has relevant information to offer on the topic. So with that, certainly I will be there. I encourage Co-Chair Ashia Barker to attend. I know some of you, are very much wanting to share your thoughts. I encourage you to attend. Obviously, the Baltimore Police Department has its own invitation. My office, Office of Equity and Civil Rights, does. I will attend in my capacity as chair of the Local Control Advisory Board. Lauren, I understand we don't have a whole lot of substance about, the scope of that hearing. Is there anything that's transpired today that would be beneficial to share with the group?
The best of my knowledge, and since I'm not sure, I'm very preoccupied with session right now. So anything that's happened on the city level, I can ask Nina if she has any more information, or if the council president or Ms. Thompson would like to add anything.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you, Lauren. I can add to it, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Yes, I think the premise of, I believe the council's want and need for local control, the mayor's office, police department to attend is, I think that there's been a lot of outreach to the council from the community regarding, I guess, the speed in which it appears that local control will actually come to fruition. I know that when we originally started these calls, and we talked a lot about the name of the bill and ultimately what residents thought they were receiving versus what the execution of the bill kind of was. And it was important for us to kind of particularly communicate that. And I think that there was some attempt to do so. But I think when we look at, I guess, the some of the proposals like currently in Annapolis, and many people feel that it could potentially be 2 or 3 or even 4 years out before actual local control is had in the city of Baltimore. It's concerning to many residents, to many organizations, and folks that have been doing this work for a really long time. So I think that that's the kind of main motivation of calling this legislative oversight hearing, and just really trying to get to the crux of the matter of how do we drive towards local control in a way that's beneficial, in a way that's effective and efficient, but more importantly, equally importantly, in a way that's had without several more sessions and without several more back and forth in the state and city level.
Okay. Yeah, that's very helpful. Any other insight anybody wants to share? All right, thank you, Mr. President. That's very, very helpful. So stay tuned. We'll, obviously be wanting as much robust participation as possible. We don't have our elected members of the Maryland delegation on tonight's call. There's a couple of representatives, but this is a good time to share about what I know about the legislative process that's going on in Annapolis now. There are 3 bills And if you don't have them, if you haven't seen them, we'll make sure you get them after the call. We can drop them into your email. But just make a note. There's Senate Bill 758, which is sponsored by Jill Carter. There's House Bill 975 that is sponsored by Delegate Young, and House Bill 853 that is sponsored by Delegate Smith. Senate Bill 758 and HB 853 by Smith are companion bills. Jill Carter's bill repeals the local laws that need to be repealed in order for us to move forward with local control. And that has an effective date of June 1, 2023. That bill will be heard March 1 at 1 p.m. So I would certainly, I certainly plan to testify on that bill in my capacity with the Local Control Advisory Board. The two delegate bills, those are scheduled to be heard March 7, both at 1 p.m. Both of those bills also repeal the local laws that need to be repealed in order for local control to move forward. The bill that is sponsored by Delegate Smith has an effective date of June 1, 2023. The effective date for Delegate Young's bill is 2024. And Delegate Young's bill also gives an extended date by which this body's final report is due. And I believe that that's sometime in, I want to say 2024, but let me just double check that. I think it's the final report for the advisory for us would be December 1, 2023. So that's the nature of the bills. And I think, what's important is that, each of the bills does the repeal work that needs to be done with the state local laws that are a hindrance to local control. The difference is the effective date, and also that Delegate Young's bill references, extending the time by which this board would do its final report. Obviously, would be important for people to weigh in and comment on those bills. I'm looking at Lauren again. I think that there's a way to participate virtually, but also the option to participate in person. I'm hearing that there's, well, doesn't matter what I hear, but that sometimes it takes a little while to actually get to the bill that you're there to speak on. But I guess my curiosity is whether or not, any member of the LCAB, LCAB is aware of those bills, has any thoughts about the bills. There's a possibility, obviously, to amend them before, as we go through the process. I'd just like to open it up and hear from anyone who has any comment about the bills that you think, Ashia and I need to know as we contemplate, testifying about these bills. And I guess we could do this by a hand raise.
Madam Chair, can I say something?
Yeah, I can't tell who it is.
I'm sorry, it's Nick.
Oh, it's President Mosby. Yes, sure.
I think just thinking on the fly. I think because it's going to be part of a lot of the discussion next week. If someone is present to be able to kind of talk about some of the pending bills in Annapolis to the committee. Obviously, I know maybe we don't have a subject matter expert on in our group, but if anybody, I guess, with a certain level of knowledge on the couple of bills and kind of the differences between them and kind of able to like enumerate what actually it means as relates to implementation. If we could identify somebody to do that, I think that that would serve this body well in presenting to the council.
So noted, appreciated, and I agree. 100%. Two of the bills are sponsored by members of this body. And I know that there's a lot of action going on in Annapolis. It might not be that they can come to the hearing on Tuesday at 5 p.m., but I think the commitment is they'll be strongly encouraged to attend and talk about their bills. I have spoken with Senator Carter, who, again, is, absolutely open and willing to come and talk about her bill. She doesn't want so much to just have a one-sided conversation. She wants to have an open discussion. So I think that's really the way to go. But between now and Tuesday, I think that we can secure the presence of someone who can come in and speak about the differences. I looked at them. I feel emboldened. I feel very happy that all three of the bills provide the repeal language that we need. We need that in order to move forward with local control. And Lauren, thank you. Yeah. So I feel good about it. But yeah, it would be good to have them come and talk. So noted. Any other comments about the pending legislation? Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about was in the agenda that was sent out, there was it included a public meeting of this board on February 23rd at Huber Memorial. And it turns out we can't do it on February 23rd. And part of the reason is that I'm hoping that there'll be a lot of attention paid to the February 21st city council hearing on February 20, at 5 o'clock. So instead, there will be on March 1st, meeting at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum for public comment on, the ideas regarding local control. March 8th, it's proposed that we will have our local control advisory board meeting in public at Huber Memorial, that we would meet as a body in public and on the record. And then after that, we would be available to hear and receive public comment regarding the local control advisory board and the process towards local control. Hoping that we have a very robust, good attendance for that meeting. Would be at 6:30 at Huber Memorial. March 15, again, another opportunity to receive public comment. The same for March 22 and March 29. We've reached out to Poly High School and the Creative Alliance to ask them to host us. Really still don't know how much of a budget we have, but trying to partner with entities that either won't charge us or will charge us a fee that we can pay. So stay tuned on that. But the other idea really is to kind of spread these meetings around. We'll reach out tomorrow to New Shiloh Baptist Church to see if they can host us so we can have a meeting on the west side, and open to ideas. Anyone that has ideas on where we can host public meetings to really hear, again, from the public about what their thoughts are during the month of March would be appreciated. And I guess here, does anyone have any ideas, any suggestions that they want to share on what we should consider? At one point, the thought was to do meetings at, police precincts. I no longer think that's a good idea. I think, but, anything else, feel free to share it. Get in touch with me, or Shia. Shia, you're off mute. Did you want to share something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I'm hoping that we are far along enough to be able to at least have some ideas to share with the public
Mhm.
around our where we may be going as far as local control. Maybe, make it as creative as possible where people can quote unquote vote or give comment on the different forms, things they like and things they don't. I just want it to have some type of substance to us going out and talking to the community.
Yeah, there's no point going out and talking to the community if there isn't substance. We could just keep doing what we're doing. Um, One of the things that I don't know that we'll be able to achieve tonight, but what I was hoping is that we could get some consensus among this group about what local control means and how it should be, what it should look like. And I put that at the end of the agenda because I'm hoping that there's, some robust discussion about that. April 7, 2023 is the date by which I believe that we can have a recommendation to the city council. And the reason that I'm making that recommendation is because we spent a year and a half hearing from other jurisdictions about the different forms of local control. Some are just outliers. They just wouldn't work for the city. There's a few that really seem to resonate. There aren't a whole lot of models out there. And, what we have suggested to the community at large is really what we want is for the city council to be able to pass ordinances and, manage some of the, the large administrative decisions that relate to the police department. And so how do we get there? I don't think we need, another year or two to get those answers. Does anyone on this call feel that we can't make a recommendation to the city council by April 7?
What's the next steps after that recommendation, Madam Chair?
So, sure, good question. After the recommendation is made, the recommendation, Mr. President, would go to you and the city council. Thereafter, the city council will turn that recommendation into an ordinance. And then begin the legislative process, which you would have your own hearings and take public comment and go through the process that you always go through so well to get an ordinance passed. Assuming the ordinance gets passed in due course, there probably would be a little bit of a period to allow the police department to shift and to make whatever internal changes they need to make. And hopefully we can have everything in order by December 2023.
And for the purpose of what in December 2023?
For the purpose of fully standing up local control of the Baltimore Police Department. For moving,
so
all of the legislative decisions that we have to go to Annapolis for, to actually have that moved over and in place and managed and decided by the Baltimore City Council.
Yep, but I was under the impression that we do need state action to be able to do that, right?
Right, and I think the state action, I believe, is what the three bills that are pending in front of the legislature take care of that action. That's the action that needs to happen.
Gotcha. And it's our full expectation that one of those bills will pass, right?
Yeah.
So I guess
Yes.
the immediate sense of order for this body is to identify which bill we support, right?
I think, yeah. And it may be that there's a way to, the bills aren't all that they're not all that different. You know, when you take a close look at them, they all pretty much have the same language in terms of the repeal of the local laws that are a restriction on local control. They're almost identical in that. The difference is in the effective date.
And I guess to date, we don't have any organizations that's been part of this coalition that can walk us through, I guess, the pros and the cons of each bills and ultimately give us a recommendation. Are we going down the path of that process?
Yeah, I mean that's what I would have loved to have had that conversation tonight. Uh, but you know, we don't have. I mean, yeah, I can give my view of those bills, but I feel like the authors of the bills should be the ones to lead us through that, or Mayor's Office of Government Relations. And you know, we know that um, you know they are pretty active in Annapolis, but
Yeah. Madam Chair, I'm gonna make a suggestion. I'm not sure if we're able to pull this off, but I think the strategy is, and I think you're exactly right, to try to get the originators, the sponsors of the bills, to maybe we kind of just host one night. I don't know. We don't need a whole lot of time, but I'm pretty sure we probably could get through presentations within an hour, but allow them to just walk us through their individual bills and kind of allow us to ask them questions, kind of like we do like a city delegation hearing down in Annapolis. And that way, you know, committee members can become intimately familiar with the bills and ask the sponsors, you know, direct questions, you know, for us as a group to kind of come out of it and figure out which bill is going to sit right with all that we've learned in the past year. I don't
mhm.
know if it's possible to kind of pull that together, but to me, I think that that makes the most sense because, you know, ultimately, we're going to be um, the stewards of whatever is passed in Annapolis, and we should be kind of part of that process and understanding and knowing if there's a bill that's closer to what we would want versus a bill that's further away. Obviously, we should be the ones that's advocating and trying to push the city delegation, the administration, anyone else with influence in Annapolis towards supporting that particular bill.
I think that's a good suggestion, and we'll take it up. And you know, it's just a matter of getting their schedules to jive with you know you know the ability to get all three of them at the same time. But I think it's a great idea, and it may be that I know that Lauren, I don't know all the inner workings, but I know that they have city delegation meetings. And maybe that's the time to do that. I don't know, but we will find out because I
That
think.
actually is a really good idea to see if maybe we just work with the city delegation. And I mean, obviously we wouldn't be able to ask questions, but obviously they're all in Annapolis. Obviously the delegation will be there, but we just have like a local um, police and bill day, and they just come out and are given like 15 or 20 minutes to present their bills to the delegation. I don't know, Lauren, could you take that back to see if that's a possibility?
Sure, I wrote that down, so we can definitely do that. And even if it doesn't work to do a delegation night on that, we can still try and work with the bill sponsors to get them to see if they're available to come before this body. Either way, we can try to work on that. That's perfectly fine.
Okay. And guys, I just stress, I think sooner rather than later, as things heat up, um, we just want to make sure that we're kind of all on the same page and seeing, what kind of fits best in our structure so we can kind of move forward. I think that back to your original question, Madam Chair, I think that that level of discussion and trying to understand the process is where the committee or the council is, and the reason that the legislative oversight hearing was called.
Mhm, mhm. Understood. Understood and appreciated. So we'll circle back on that. Um,
And Madam Chair,
so
if I may, we are at
yeah,
day 54 days until Sonny dies, so out of the 90. So we do understand the urgency with this matter. So MOGI will definitely work on that.
okay. Thank you very, very much. You know, to me, this is one of the most important things that y'all are doing down there. And I know that there's a whole lot of people on this call that agree. So good suggestion. So one of the things that I did since we were last together was really to look at like what has been the history of the Baltimore City Police Department. How did we get where we are today? And I did a sort of a chronology. I call it the path from and to local control of the police department. I'm going to share this with y'all after the meeting, but it really starts. Well, the first entry is July 30, 1729. Does anybody know what that date is? That's the date that Baltimore City was founded. And then in 1784, we start with the establishment of the Baltimore City Police Department. Then on March 16, 1853, the Baltimore Police Department is officially established, recognized by the Maryland legislature. But here's what's really what I was really surprised to see. In 1859, the Maryland General Assembly passed a bill that transferred control of BPD away from Baltimore and to the state of Maryland. And that's where it resided for just really 1 year, because then the federal government took over and the Baltimore Police Department was run by the United States Army. It came back to the city in 1861 and I'm sorry, no, it didn't come back to the city. Control went back to the Maryland governor in 1861, and that is where it has sat. And there have been a lot of efforts to get local control, but we've been in this effort really since robustly since 2011, when Mayor Scott joined the city council and began really making local control a priority. And the reason I share it is because now, after a lot of efforts, here we are, 2021 established this board, the Local Control Advisory Board. And my view is that we are super close to having everything happen that needs to happen. And that really is the imperative, which really highlights the importance of the legislation that we've just been talking about. And if we are successful in getting behind a bill that does the repeal work that we know needs to be done, we are super close to having what Baltimore City needs. So it's a fascinating history. I'll share that document with you all after this. But that brings us to the forms of local control. And here I just, in my mind, I have always thought of it as giving the Baltimore City Council the ability to pass legislation without having to go to Annapolis and hearing from other jurisdictions about whether these are good ideas or not. I mean, for me, it's just that simple. But I'd like to hear from whoever wants to share, whoever wants to come on camera, go off mute, and hear what you all think local control is. And in particular, you know, if anyone has an idea of a particular model of what we've heard a lot of conversation about models of local control. If anyone wants to share what they think is best for Baltimore, I'd just like to hear it from this group. And then we begin to move forward. So start anywhere.
So I'll start.
Okay.
Cut the camera on. So I think local control is just as simple as you said. It's bringing legislative governance of this police department that's sworn to serve Baltimore City residents locally. I always say that accountability starts with access. Any representative here from a local office knows that the calls come in here. It's not really accessible to the impacted communities to be an active and influential participant in the legislative process when most of us have jobs and responsibilities and just being able to take a day and go to Annapolis and wait and hope that the hearing gets heard in time to pick up the kids is not giving us access and hinders us to hold the police department accountable for those local issues. So for me, it's as simple and cut and dry as that. There is no reason or mandate to immediately terminate the current structure that's in place when we change that authority from the state to the city council, which is why I'll be pushing for the bill that makes this happen sooner, because essentially the city council needs that legislation to give them the authority to actually do these things. And there's no need to wait for that. They could be working in the interim as well. So for me, local control means that, as every other major city in this country, our governance is administrated by our local elected government, not a broader statewide General Assembly, which doesn't have that intimate relationship or accountability with our community members.
Thank you very much. Well said. Anyone else? Ms. Shara? Going once, going twice, 3 times. So at the top of the meeting, I mentioned that I wanted everyone to go back and take another look at the report that we submitted in December 2022, because it lists some of the forms of local government that we have considered and that have been brought to us. And the form that I really feel, someone asked me, well, what do you feel? What do you think? What seems right to you? And I'm like, oh, okay. To me, it's the Baltimore County model, which is very much what my brother Ray Kelly just described. And I want y'all to take a look at that, and I want you to dig deep. And if it's helpful to bring in someone from Baltimore County to talk about that, I'm happy to do that. I would. I don't know that we need to, but I will do that if you think so. But I think that's what we talk to the public about. Just exactly what Ray Kelly just shared. I do read. I know that I don't remember the person's name, but it was a comment was in the Baltimore Sun that was very resonant of what Mr. Kelly just shared, and I think it's that simple. That we Baltimore divorce ourselves from the state of Maryland in making our legislative decisions about BPD. And when I sat down over the weekend and I did the history, and I realized it was about 100 and almost 200 years that we've been in this place of not being able to make our own decisions, set our own destiny. The imperative is very clear, and the short path home is the way to do this. Anybody else? All right, so deliverables. Ashia, I've been talking. I know that I just want to check in to see if you've got anything to add. I know that silence doesn't mean you're not thinking, I want to jump in. So no pressure.
No. No. Mm-mm.
The other thing that I want to encourage everyone to do is we are all in this legislatively. We are tied by the legislature as a group. We're legislatively mandated to be in this group. And we're here as a group because we all have different constituencies that we represent, that we're able to do outreach with, that we're able to talk to, that have ideas on what we should be doing in terms of local control of the police department. I've heard words like, I want oversight. And here, I want people to know that the Police Accountability Board is up, it's running. They've had one meeting. I think everyone has been sworn in. That is a huge oversight tool. But if people want more, then I think we need to build that in. Like, what could that be? But I don't want to presume anything. And one of the reasons I was so dogged in trying to find who is it from the Vanguard Justice Society who's supposed to be here and talking about what Black law enforcement officers feel. So now we have that, and that's not going to delay us. I hope it propels us forward. But all that to say, I want you all to reach out to your constituencies and ask them, what do they think? And I want you to bring it back to one of our future meetings. Ashia, I hear you loud and clear. We had to have substance. I think we have it. I saw a comment that the timeline wasn't at all realistic. We're going to talk about that because I think that it is realistic. It is, what's not realistic is to not use all of the tools that we have to propel us forward. So anything else for the good of the order? Any other thoughts, comments? I think I'm at the end of the agenda. Is there anything that I've forgotten? That I please double check. Ashia, anything from the agenda that we've not covered?
No, I just want to go back over the schedule.
Yeah. I think the most important date is Tuesday, February 21st. And you and I need to talk about how we handle that hearing and make sure that we have the right voices. I think City Council President Mosby has given us a really good insight on what is going to be asked for, and we need to put that together so that we're fully responsive. And so we'll talk about that. Lauren, hopefully I know that you'll help us with that. So that's February 21st at 5 p.m. And I believe I think it'll just be live, in the council chamber. The date after that is March 1st. Two things happen on March 1st. At 1 p.m. is the hearing on Senator Carter's bill, which is Bill 758. And then at 6:30 p.m. is a public meeting, outreach at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum at 6:30 p.m. That's March 1st. March 8th will be our next LCAP meeting. It will be in person. It'll be our in-person meeting at Huber Memorial, and we'll work together to put together that structure so that we're comfortable with an in-person meeting and that we can actually conduct business, and then have a public forum to hear from the public any thoughts that they have about the local control. March 15 would just be outreach, just to hear what people, to share our ideas about local control and to hear public feedback. March 22nd and March 29. All those meetings are at 6:30 p.m. and locations are to be determined. I don't know what budget we have, but I believe that my office has the budget if we need to, and I'm committed to spending what we need to get these places set up and to have some slight, small refreshments and just to do this public outreach. That's what I have as scheduled. Talked about doing a meeting at Poly High School. Locations obviously to be just decided, but I wanted to do East Side, West Side, definitely at the Creative Alliance if they'll have us. For that meeting, we would have Spanish interpreters from English to Spanish and even Spanish to English so that we can all communicate. And then open to hear any other place where we should go. That's what I have as scheduled. The delivery date for our recommendation to the City Council is April 7. And then I target a final report from this body June 30, 2023. And if we have to do a second final report or a final, it would be the end of the year. And that would capture any of the City Council processes that might be happening after we make or that will happen after we make our recommendation. So that's what I'm suggesting. Totally open to other, smaller meetings, meeting with anybody that has a constituency that you feel we should talk with. Happy to do it, want to do it. The add-on is the request from the City Council President that we have an opportunity to engage with our elected officials that have sponsored bills that relate to local control. Lauren has offered to reach out, do the outreach to find out when we could do that. I'm open to either a night meeting if that's what has to happen, or if we can engage and listen in on a delegation meeting. So that's the only open question. Covered?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and then I promised we will share, I think Lauren dropped the bills in the chat, but we'll make sure that everyone gets those after this meeting. I will share the timeline that I created. If I can, maybe Ray and Ashia and Lauren, if we can put together, one or two paragraphs at most of what form of local control looks like, that as shared by Ray, that would be sort of our guiding document as we go out and talk to the public.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. And visuals are really, really important, and I think we can work together to present all of that. Okay, open discussion. Any questions, comments?
Sure, I will add that as we asked people to go out into their communities and speak to their constituencies about and gather ideas, I do want to add that we are also getting feedback from the community at the mayoral
All right.
email address. So if you would like to just tell people, you can send an email to share your thoughts. It's mayor@baltimorecity.gov, and those messages are forwarded to MLGR. Or they could also send a email directly to MLGR, which is MOGR@baltimorecity.gov. So those are two very easy ways to share any feedback. And I can also speak with our webmasters to see if there is a way for us to have a maybe like a feedback portal. I'm not sure what you would call it, but something that lives on the LCAB webpage to make it easy for people to share their feedback and give any input as we move forward.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Hearing no other comments, questions. At 7:15, we'll end and let everyone go get dinner. Thank you everyone for being here. This is important, and just thank you for giving us the time very much.
Good night.
All right,
Have
good
a
night.
good evening, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.